Oh, how have you been?
Good, yeah, yeah. It's been trying not to run, I suppose. Um,
What, just because you shouldn't, or
yeah, because I'm being like sort of scaremongered into taking the recovery super, super seriously. I've had a whole bunch of people message like, make sure you rest, make sure it's at least 2 weeks, blah 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 blah. But
Mm,
I've never run this distance before, so I don't know how my body copes with it. What recovery I
yeah,
really need. It's all a big question mark.
I suppose so. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, how are you feeling?
I'm quite tired at the end of the day.
Mm,
Like more tired than I used to be. But
yeah,
that's really the only thing.
yeah. How long did it take you, sort of physiologically, to sort of get over that? Yeah, just moving for 24 hours. How was like your sleep the first and second nights after?
Rubbish.
Yeah, yeah,
Rubbish. Yeah,
it's,
just really achy. Had to keep like moving around and just yeah, you can't really get comfortable. Just keep waking up all the time. But it's a rewarding pain.
well, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes. I mean, yeah,
yeah,
your body's letting you know it's just done some epic shit, and
exactly.
I suppose it's worthy when it's worked out well. Um,
Mm,
but yeah, when it punishes you, but you still had a DNF or something, it's like, wait,
yeah.
this isn't fair.
Yeah, that would be really, really difficult to deal with, I think, if you had the DNF and a really horrible body to deal with
Yeah.
after. Hopefully
Uh,
that won't be me.
mm.
That will be me one day, I'm sure. I haven't DNF'd anything yet, but
You know what? It's a really hard. It's such a tough thing, and I don't know if you saw Chris had to pull out of 13 rallies this weekend. Chris
mm,
Andrade. Um,
yeah, I did, yeah.
um, and you know your heart goes out to anyone that DNFs.
Mm.
I just sort of I remember it so well, and then I've done it so often that you do reach a stage. You do finally kind of come to this realization that yeah, it is just a race, and it is supposed to be fun. Um, but
Mm,
it does it takes a long time, actually. It is. It's hard. It's really tough.
mm,
But that's what makes it a challenge, isn't it? As I said to Chris, it's not just about the training and the preparation. Everything has to go right on the day. Everything, everything has to go perfectly. Your feet have to land in the right place, and the people around
yeah.
you have to, not infringe on your space. And there's so
Mm,
many more things.
yeah, absolutely. And then I tell you, when you say like feet landing in the right place, that's why I really liked the track was because you didn't really have to think about that too much. I mean,
Yes.
I'm sure people
Yeah.
manage to like roll an ankle somehow. And
Yeah.
the little timing mat bump at the end of each lap became like a
Risk.
big hurdle almost.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
thought about it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I
Okay.
mean, it does make me want to do more sort of easier terrain stuff now.
If it suits
Like,
you and you've got the speed and you've got that ability to hit
yeah,
a metronome sort of pace, do it.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely where I'm going to sit for the next couple of years, I
So
think.
what are your thoughts on the arc now then? Are you thinking,
I think I'm gonna. I actually bought like the race insurance thingy, so I think I'm gonna cash it
yeah,
in to be honest,
yeah,
and just focus on this because
yeah,
I can already tell like my motivation's not really there for it, so that's not gonna go well on race day, is it?
no, no. And you're just going to end up hating it even more.
Yeah.
So but here we go. Keith has entered the room. Keith Wigley.
Woo.
Um, I'm looking forward to having a chat to Keith. He's someone
Yeah.
who's yeah, he said his race didn't go to plan. Hello, Keith.
Hello,
Hello,
Keith.
right
Welcome.
on cue.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Yeah.
Yeah, no
Well,
problem.
we do you know Robin Keith?
Uh,
Robin
No, I
Keith?
think like a
no.
few comments on social media here and there, but never met.
Yeah,
No.
yeah,
No, no,
yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, congratulations. Obviously, it didn't go as you said in your Instagram post. The World Champs didn't go to plan for you, but you gritted it out and you finished it. So, I mean, I still think that's as you said in your post beforehand, you had the place, so you've won already. Do you still
Yeah.
feel like that?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a weird week because you return to work and everyone's been very congratulatory and all this thing, but in the back of your mind, you're like,
You're
well,
not.
yeah, thanks, but no, I mean, yeah, you're bang on the mark. I think the big aim for this year was to qualify for Worlds. So yeah, it did definitely feel like a victory in itself, just towing the start line. And yeah, not the result I wanted, but I'm glad that I finished the race. There was a big part of me at one point that wanted to stop. And then I've had a few sort of DNFs at UTMB before, and you're just like, yeah, I didn't want another one. And I think like if you can finish things, you really should try and finish them, even if it's not the end
Yeah.
result you wanted in the end. So I'm glad I gritted it out, but back to the drawing board to see what I can do going forward.
I think a DNF is worse than a not so good result.
Yeah, particularly the morning after, right? Or at the
Yeah,
end of the race. You don't want to.
Yeah.
It's so much better waking up the day after knowing you finished something than
with
thinking
regret
you
as
dropped
well
out
as
when you know really at the bottom of your heart you could have kept on going. Like I wasn't injured. I was
yeah,
just the legs were just gone. Yeah. So yeah,
yeah. So
glad I got to the end.
you thought that was altitude again? You said you had that before.
Yeah, so I've done UTMB the previous 2 years. The first year was a bit of a hard one to diagnose what exactly went wrong. It had like COVID in the weeks leading up to it and stuff. But then um, last year felt the symptoms that I had in this race at World Champs felt very similar to how I felt after about sort of 6 hours at UTMB last year, where I was fine, like yeah, able to push. Heart rate was like at a level that I thought that I knew was sustainable for the duration of the race, and then it's almost like complete loss of power. Like the legs, you're 1 minute you're absolutely fine, and then the next minute you're completely gone. So it's not like a gradual accumulation of fatigue that you'd find in other ultras. It's like boom, body shut down. So whether that is altitude, I mean, when I did UTMB last year, I had done a proper sort of altitude training block in the weeks leading up to the race. I'd been at Teen for 3 or 4 weeks, trying to acclimatize to the altitude. What I didn't really know at the time, or didn't appreciate at the time, was that I actually went there with quite low, well, actually, yeah, low iron levels. I mean, your GP would say that they're normal, but they're low for a runner, and they were very low for a runner that's going to altitude. So going to altitude was probably an overall cost for me. So by the time I got to the UTMB start line or middle of the race, once my legs were gone, like yeah, it was way too much for me. I probably burnt all my matches before I even started the race. So this summer, my iron levels are now much better. They're now good for a runner, but they weren't quite good enough for me to have the confidence to go to altitude. I'm a teacher, so I could have done similar and taken a good few weeks at altitude over August. I would have still had I would have still had to come back to the UK and start teaching, and then maybe lost some of that acclimatization. But my iron levels are better now, thanks through a lot of the help that I've had through the Elite Trail team and our dietitian and stuff. Rebecca Dent, who's helped me with that and helped a lot of people in our team with that. But yeah, they still weren't quite good enough for me to have the confidence to go to altitude this summer. So I did go and look at the race, and I spent time sort of running altitude over the summer in Chamonix and in Spain. but I didn't stay at altitude for a prolonged period. And then by the time I got to the race start line, I'd come back to the UK and done 3 or 4 weeks down at near sea level again. So any sort of little bit of climatization was maybe worn off. Yeah, it's an annoying thing because all the big races in the world have some element of altitude, and I definitely seem to be at least a slow adapter, and it seems to be a sort of unfair variable because not everyone has the time to go and acclimatize and things like that. But whether that was the be all and end all of the race, I don't know. Maybe some other factors in there as well, some general fatigue through big training over the summer and things like that probably played its part. Yeah, I don't know.
That is it. Unfair is definitely the word that seems to shine through on that, because you did so much in the build up, and I know like with acclimatization, like maybe it might have fallen off a little bit, but like you'd looked at your iron levels, that you'd been working on that, you'd probably put in a really strong training block, I'd imagine. And then it happened to just fall off in the race out of nowhere, as you said, like you just powered down, like the legs just gave up on you. Do you normally look at, you mentioned your heart rate went from 160 to 130. Are you very heart rate focused in races and in training?
Yeah, I mean, we've had the luxury through the Elite Trail team to do a lot of good testing at Loughborough, so we know exactly sort of where our limits lie in terms of our lactate levels and what corresponding heart rate that is. So it's not generally something. I mean, a lot of our training is based around sort of quality rather than quantity with my coach Doug Stewart. So a lot of sessions are based around heart rate. So I do look at it quite a bit during training, like during intervals and stuff, to make sure I'm in the right sort of the right zone. When it comes to racing, I tend to not so much look at heart rate. I probably looked at it a little bit more during this race to make sure I wasn't overexerting, and actually to make sure I was still able to get it high. So on the first climb, generally for most races, I will keep a check on it during the first climb of any race, just to make sure I'm not going like too deep, because if you go too deep too early, it's just going to come back to bite you. But I'd say I monitored it a little bit more during this race specifically because I was concerned it would drop off earlier with the altitude.
Right.
We spent a significant amount of time at this race, over 2,000 meters, and I thought perhaps a bad sign early on would be if I couldn't get my heart rate up as high as I would have liked. That might have been the altitude having its effect, but I was actually like almost relieved. Oh, I'm like super fresh. My heart rate's still above like 160 here, still in sort of what would be high mid zone 2 for me.
Right.
So I was like, oh, good. We're feeling fresh. This is good. And it just stayed there. And then, yeah, like I said, like switch goes off, boom, power down 130. The problem with me, once I'd really sort of gone to a slow pace, and I mean, I was walking up very gradual inclines for a little bit of time. I even started walking backwards up the inclines for a bit of time because my legs were so blowing. The problem then was that I've had a little bit of Achilles trouble over the last few months, and unless I like keep them warm and keep running on them, they really stiffen up. So that then sort of came to fruition. You lose more time, and then you've based all your nutrition and hydration plan on getting to a certain checkpoint at a certain time. So it's like the further you fall behind, the further down into the red you go, because now you're lacking the nutrition, now you're lacking the hydration to get to the next checkpoint.
Oh,
So
God,
yeah,
I
a bit
never
of a
think of
downhill
that, did I?
spiral for a few hours. But then got to the final checkpoint and just smashed loads of carbs, which powered me to the end.
Oh man. I
Yeah,
suppose, yeah, once you go into the red, yeah, your body needs more, doesn't it, to try and recover, and you've probably only got so much on you. So were you still able to get everything down you? Did you kind of run out, or?
Yeah, it's probably like I ran out. I was probably didn't have anything for maybe like an hour and a half max. I mean, I was hungry when I got to the last checkpoint, which is
Yeah.
never a good sign in an ultra. I was like, oh my goodness. I think I probably had like about 200 grams of carbs in the final checkpoint. Just consumed everything to try and revive myself.
Yeah. And were you
Is that
able to sort of finish that last section any differently, or was the body still just not what it was?
Yeah, it's a weird one. I think one of the small benefits I had is that by the time I had like fully bonked, it was still quite a distance to the next checkpoint, which sounds bad because obviously like overall it'd be beneficial for me to get there quicker. But initially I was kind of like resolute, I'm just going to drop out. But because it took me so long to get to the next checkpoint, by the time I got there, I was like, oh, I am shuffling. Like the mind sort of switches back and it's like, oh no, you can crack on. So yeah, I went to the last checkpoint and then I was semi revived. I mean, you really can't come back from a full leg blowout. I was mentally revived to continue, but the legs were pretty spent. What I found quite useful was that I now found myself sort of in and amongst the women's top 10 race, sort of for about maybe like position 7 to 10th were in and around me, and they were all pushing like really hard because they're like still in a race. And I actually found myself being re-caught up with a French runner, Hilary Girardi, who I'd spent like the first climb of the day sort of chatting to for a little bit. She re-caught me and was like, oh, is this my friend Keith from earlier? And I was like, oh, you've got me, Hilary. So we kind of like teamed up. She was really strong on the climb still. So she kind of like she got in front of me and started like pushing. I was like, oh, I can like hold this new pace. It's weird what the mind does, right? The mind's just like for a minute, it's like just in its little sad state. And then you find yourself back in someone else's race. It's not yours, but you're like, oh, I can actually move a little bit more. So I hanged with her on the climb. She dragged me up then. And then she kind of like, I towed her along on the descent. We made a little deal that she would help me on the climbs and I would try and help her on the descent. And it was quite interesting at the end. The last 7K of the race is just over 100 switchbacks, and so it's crazy descent. It's not steep. In fact, you're barely dropping with each switchback. It's basically like it's pretty much flat 7K, but you're doing a bleep test because it's stop, start, stop, start, end to end, and it just goes on for ages. Like best part of an hour. And Hilary was just tucking behind me, and I was just like, push, Hilary, push, 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 because I think she was maybe in 7th or 8th at this point, but France was vying for a team medal as well. And that's all based on accumulative time of the top 3 runners. I think she was their 3rd runner. So, and as we descended, there was more French teammates for her cheering her on. And they kind of realized I was now Hilary's pacer. And we hit the road, and I just kind of like went for it. I figured like better to be the sort of hare for her to chase out front. I crossed the finish line, turned around, and realized that an Italian runner had just caught her, and they were in a sprint finish to the line, and the Italian just pipped her. And I thought for a second that I'd cost Hilary 10th place by not like I couldn't have done anything anyway. It's not like I shouldered this Italian out of the way. Yeah. I thought, oh man, Hilary, if I've lost you 10th place, but luckily I think they were 7th and 8th or 8th and 9th or something like that. So yeah. The last section, I was done pretty much. Like, well, I wasn't done, but I was able to move still, but not like I would have liked. But it was nice.
You helped somebody else.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it was great. It was great. The race had gone full circle. I'd started with Hilary, and then we finished kind of together as well. So yeah, I'm glad that really sort of revived my love of running in the final few hours, rather than being in this dark.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's lovely in a way that you've maybe lost your race, but you can help someone else gain theirs. There's the community right there, isn't it? Even at the top end.
Yeah. You found some meaning to give to the race actually, and that'll be a memory that'll stick with you for sure. And a new friend.
Yeah, it was good.
So what's next?
Yeah, interesting. I mean, before before the race, I'd said to Doug, said to coach that like I feel like I just need a rest. Like I felt like things were catching up with me a little bit before the race. And I've probably not had like a proper off season now for maybe like 2-3 years, just with doing races like the Arc being in January or something like that. I'd maybe finish with a race around this time, and then before you know it, you're racing in January again. So there's not really much time to take some downtime. So he's deliberately not put anything in my plan for the next 3 weeks, which I think I would have been delighted with had the race gone perfectly well. But now, yeah, I think the toughest thing about this sport is, particularly with the distances that I race at, is that you only maybe get 3-4 sort of hits at it a year if you really want to optimize performance. Probably 4 is even stretching it. And it's a weird world, isn't it? Because if you look at elite marathon runners, they maybe only do two serious full gas marathon efforts a year, and yet in ultra, there seems to be this tendency to sort of bash them out every weekend, doesn't there? At least now, sort of, I've sort of tempered my enthusiasm for that over the last few years. Now that I sort of really take them a bit more seriously, and I know the cost on the body, and you're really at the sharper end of things, you can't really afford to do so much. I remember in my first year, I think I did maybe like one every 2 months or something like that. I just crawled from one ultra to the next. So, but the hardest thing is when a race doesn't go well, right? You can't have that instant redemption race. It's not like I can just book in for another ultra marathon in 2 weeks and redeem myself. So the sensible thing is really, I'm signed up for the Arc again in January. The sensible thing would be to take like 3 weeks off now, and then just solid build through to January. But I'm also registered for a big race called Saint-Élion, a 50-mile 80k race in France, which is at the end of November. Not one I've done before, but quite like renowned for being sort of quite flattish, runnable. It's through the nights. It's one of the biggest races in France, one of their first ultra marathons. So it'd be an interesting one to do. But then that probably puts me back on the conveyor belt of smashing from one ultra marathon to the next and having another year without a real off season. So I'll see, maybe decide fully over the next couple of weeks, but probably, yeah, I think the sensible thing is to wait for the Arc. It's how sensible I choose to be is the question.
I mean, I'm curious. I'm curious with the iron thing. Is there a sort of direct correlation between altitude and iron? And I mean, you said you weren't keen to train this summer because you didn't feel like your iron levels were up to it. I mean, is it just a question of taking more iron? I mean, it can't be that easy.
Yeah, I mean, I am on a quite high dose iron supplement. I would really encourage anyone who's you don't even need to necessarily be like at the sort of sharper end of the field, but even if you're just like really quite serious about your running and doing a lot of volume and things, running more so than sort of other sports has a real impact on your iron levels, because it is an impact sport in that you're landing on your feet. So every time you land on your feet, you're sort of breaking down capillaries, red blood cells that are in your feet, and that reduces sort of iron levels. So it's a good thing to go and get checked. And I mean, I do it easily just through my GP. Like I've had my iron checked maybe like 4 times this year, and you can book into an appointment at your GP and sort of get it done in the same week. Been super simple and easy. Yeah, I sort of frame it in my mind that if my iron isn't my ferritin levels, if they are not high enough, and sort of the advice from my dietitian Rebecca would be that if you're going to go to altitude and train, your iron level, your ferritin level should really be above 100. And I was at sort of 60 something. If you're going to go to altitude with lower than 100, I feel like you're just, it's an overall negative, really. It's almost like you're burning matches while you're there training rather than saving them for the race. Whereas if you didn't go, you might end up at the start line, and it might feel like your breathing is a bit more labored, a bit more difficult, and things like that because you haven't been at that altitude. But you probably at least have those matches to burn, because you've not gone and spent them earlier. Maybe like it also, I mean, it just depends a lot on genetics and your body and stuff as well. There's going to be people that acclimatize to altitude a bit faster, people that don't need it as much. I've generally felt like I adapt really quite slowly to it whenever I've gone for maybe a week or two to somewhere with a little bit of altitude. It doesn't have to be that high for me. My coach's house is in the south of France, and whenever I've gone there for a few weeks, just at like 800 meters, something, I already feel like I'm breathing like quite hard here. It really feels like at the end of a week or two, I feel super fatigued. So I might be someone that actually would benefit from like going to altitude for like months before to really like slowly acclimate to it all. But then I'd really need the iron levels to support it. It might be that going forward, I really look at choosing races quite dependent on their sort of profile. Which is frustrating because things like even the UTMB races spend a fair bit of time at altitude, maybe not as much as this. Like I still plan on doing CCC next summer. I think it won't be as bad as what I experienced at Canfranc because it's like it is more runnable and you sort of drop down from the altitude a bit quicker and things like that. So overall, less time spent at it. But I think, I probably will avoid some races in Europe that spend like a substantial amount of time over sort of 2,000 meters, which is, a bit sad, but also I really like racing in the UK. Like I'll happily do the ARC and the UTS until I die. Yeah.
You said that I forgot what I was going to say. I was too involved in the story. So you've got this race possibly in November. Do you think there's a chance that maybe because your body pulled you back in the world champs, that perhaps you've got maybe a bit more energy to take into that one, and maybe it's not quite as the one ultra to another crawling along, maybe you might actually be able to give it a pretty good shot. It's one of the upsides to a lesser race, isn't it?
Yeah, in a way, because like although I was out there for 11 hours, I only really felt like I was racing for like 6 and a bit, and then I was on a 5-hour recovery walk.
Yeah, exactly.
So sometimes you often do find your body feels a little bit better. I've not had to push for like 9 and a bit hours or 10 hours all the way to the line. I've actually had some active recovery while I've been out there. So yeah, potentially. And I mean, I did go into world champs probably like as fit as I've ever been aerobically. So it would kind of feel like a little bit of a shame to not fully maximize that fitness. So stop trying to convince me, Robin. Like I'm not meant to be doing this race.
But it sounds like a really good quick one with a bit of history.
Yeah, it's cool. It's all at night as well. Did I say? I don't know. Yeah, it's all at night.
I've seen it.
Start at midnight and just run through the French
love those
night,
late night
and it's
starts,
meant to be like
they?
Often the weather's a bit like, I think it's like the last weekend in November maybe. So often the weather can be a bit spicy. I think there's a few reels on Instagram of people like sliding down ice on their bum.
Yeah.
It sounds great.
Bad influence, Robin. Stop it.
Yeah. Well, it's all the other people on here. They're a bad influence to me.
Well,
you said you're a teacher. What do you teach?
Maths, maths secondary school. I'm quite fortunate in that this time last year I actually decided to go part-time. So my school runs like a two week timetable. I teach 5 days across those 2 weeks. So I'm basically 50% teacher, 50% runner, which is quite nice. Not nice for the finances, but nice for life fulfillment and
absolutely
training and stuff.
Is that like a couple days one week, a couple days another, or is it like a full week on, full week off?
No, it's 2 days 1 week and 3 days the other week. Hence why we're having this conversation. Middle of the day on a Thursday.
Yeah, exactly. My wife
I think
teaches.
that sounds perfect.
Yeah, my wife teaches chemistry and does three days a week. So yeah, it's a nice
definitely a winning system.
It is, yeah.
I've got a question that I would like to know more about. There's this picture of you running in a kilt. There's a race, three of you on a track in a kilt. I need to know more about
that. Oh right, it's I was in the army before I was a teacher, with a Scottish regiment, with the Royal Regiment of Scotland, Infantry Regiment. So that picture is at our annual Highland Games, and it was a 4x4 relay between the different companies, and the final leg had to be, it went like the most junior soldiers ran the first leg, then like a corporal would run the second leg, then the sergeant's mess would run the third leg, and then the officers' mess did the final leg. So the picture you're referring to is me and the other two officers, and you'll be aware that I'm the only one wearing boots. The dress code was to wear boots, and they've chickened out and wore trainers. So I'm in boots. And so I was on the fourth leg. I don't know. I actually don't know if we won. Obviously, I was the fourth leg, so I probably didn't. I don't know if we were winning when they came round. I'm going to say I won, but I can't guarantee. I tell you what, running a kilt is hard work. Those things are heavy.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I bet. So what got you into running then? Were you running in the army, or how did it all start?
I went to a very good school, which was just super good for sport. So grew up playing predominantly hockey and cricket, but like rugby, and my brother and I, we bounced between loads of different sports, like during the summer holidays, cycling and all this sort of thing. So grew up playing loads of sports. Obviously got chucked in the cross country mixer at school, but that was always like a side hustle, wasn't it? They just rounded up anyone that was good at running in any other sport and just chucked you in it. So that didn't leave me with an exactly brilliant impression of running in and of itself. I don't think it does for anyone. And then, it was sort of while I was in the Navy, before I was in the Army, I joined the Navy. And post-university, that kind of got me back into doing a bit more like physical activity and stuff, especially during like initial training. They really thrash you around and get you doing all sorts, climbing ropes and doing silly stuff in gym halls. And then during that time, I did a couple of marathons, a trail marathon and a road marathon. But again, sort of just like, it was like me and my Navy mates just like signing up to these things last minute on a free weekend just to see where, and just not training for it, just with our residual fitness from basic training, we'd go and do these. And then I guess a couple of years went by where I was sort of in the Navy and I was really struggling to do any exercise on ship. So I transferred to the Army, where I was happier because I was like rolling around in the mud with the boys. And it was during that transition that like a return to being on land. I can't describe the sensation of being stuck on ship and like realizing it's not for you, and like you love exercise and stuff. It was almost like I was set free when I got back on land. So like picking up running again was like, this is brilliant, like the best thing ever. I was like, just the freedom to run around in some green spaces again. was really good. And then things kind of just progressed from there. I did like the odd park run and was like, oh, this is good. I met a couple of friends early on who one of them, Tom, he had done like OCC and things like that. So I went on a few runs with him, and then I was always intrigued about like running further. Sounded more and more fun. So 10K roads quickly progressed to I didn't go back to the marathon until recently actually, but I just kind of jumped on the trail bandwagon. And then that year every trail race I signed up to, I just escalate the distance more and more. So I do, like a marathon, then a 50K, then like 40 something, and then a 50 miler, and then I think I did an 80 miler that year. It was just the appeal of running further. It was just, I don't know, intrigued me, and I realized that I was like relatively good at it, so kept going. Anyone enjoys something they find they're quite good at, don't they? And you just want to get better.
What's your favorite distance?
I'd say now, after I tried to jump up distance to sort of 100 milers. I first qualified to do CCC actually at UTMB in 2013 after I did well at Snowdonia at UTS, and they gave you kind of the choice to sort of jump up a distance or drop down a distance. And I was just like, well, if I can do the full loop, why would I just do like half the loop? So I tried to jump up to UTMB, had a shocker, and then last year I requalified again and was like, I need to go back and redeem myself, so I'll try UTMB again, had another shocker. Now I realize that it's just stay in my pen, and I enjoy the 100K, 80K, so for 50 mile to 100K distance way more than the 100-mile distance. I like the experience of starting a race in the morning and finishing the same day. I've never been like a night owl, never was into the sort of the boozing scene at university of all nights and things like that. I've always been an early to bed sort of person. So running at night just doesn't particularly agree with me. So yeah, and I've had my best performances at that sort of 80K to 100K mark. So I think I will stick with that for a few more years, I think, and maybe try and jump up to 100-mile distance again. I mean, I also had the torturous experience of doing 200-mile race. I did the race across Scotland a few years ago now, and that was horrendous. 2 nights of just suffering, 2 and a bit nights, maybe more like 3. I was golden for like 24 hours, and I had an hour's sleep, and then tried to start running again. I was just a zombie.
It does look a tough, that one. Yeah, I do like the look of that one. Someday, maybe. But I thought you'd say 100K. With UTS especially, like, you just seem to have absolutely nailed it. I liked your graphic, how you showed like third, fourth, third, and your time coming down every year. And then you said like, the sport's moved on, but so have I. That was really good. That was really good.
It's just great. It's almost like a little bit annoying in a way. If I'd ran my time this year, 2 years ago, I'd be a pro athlete right now. Someone would have offered me, I would have beaten, because I was about 6 minutes behind first in 2013, and the guy that won, Jean-Philippe Tashumi, he's like a pro runner for Hoka, and was like, he's still very good now, but he was like a big name a couple of years ago, like very high ITRA scores and stuff like that. So if I'd beaten him if I could take my time from this year and put it in 2023 and beaten him by like an hour and 20, people would have been like, who is this guy? Let's give him 50 grand a year. The sport is just I don't know.
Is it moving forward that quickly?
Yeah, you're like, you got to keep moving to stay in the same place. Is that Alice in Wonderland? I don't know. Yeah, so it's tough, right? So moving so
or is that
quickly,
just aging?
faster and faster. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think maybe the runners coming up are getting younger as well. It's no longer
Mm.
a sort of middle-aged person's game, actually, the big
Yeah, I
ultras.
mean, yeah, sort of our sort of generation was all people coming into the sport, maybe like midlife, right? As a sort of, yeah, I don't know, as an adventure, midlife crisisy sort of thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, as you say, kids, youngsters now jumping straight into the sport at the age of 20 or whatever. Yeah, it's scary to think what it'll be like in, yeah, the next decade. Won't stand a chance. We'll have to run 4 hours at UTS 100K.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
God,
get that
yeah.
6 hour 100K. Think of the shoes.
Yeah.
But you've
What's it
you
like?
you go, Kate.
Oh, sorry, I thought we lost you there. No, I was just wondering what it's like. Sort of, do you getting sponsors or getting any help, any financial funding, sponsorship? Um, obviously Tom Jolly is very open about it. What's it like from your perspective, trying to be a sort of semi-pro, so to speak?
Um, yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate in some regard in that in 2023, after the good result at UTS, I had support from Innovate for probably like 18 months ish or something like that. Just kit and things like that. Um, which is kind of like the entry level for anyone now, I guess, is like these kit only deals. Um, they did help out financially with my trip to Teen last summer. They gave me a few £100 to help with that and things. And then I've been with Ultra now for since like January, December time. Um, and yeah, that's offered a little bit more financial support and stuff, mainly through like bonuses at races, like UTS and the Arc. But it's hard. I mean, the sort of level that I'm at now is so overpopulated with
Mm.
like runners in and around my level, um, that to stand out, to do something different which attracts like a wage that you could actually live on is very difficult. Yeah, maybe if I'd come, I don't know, like top 10 at Worlds, then maybe I'd be looking at like, I don't know, let's say 20 grand salary or something like that from Ultra or an equivalent sponsor and something like that. That's me kind of grasping at numbers, but maybe. But again, like that's barely enough to live on if you've
Mm.
got a house, mortgage, bills, whatever. Be interested to see where it goes. Maybe we're just like a decade behind. It'll be interesting to see in the next decade. Is it a case that the top people just earn more and more, and there's still like this middle ground of very good runners that are earning very small salaries? Because I mean, like the very top of the pyramid, right? The Katie Shides, the Jim Walmsleys, the Killian Jornets, the Tom Evans, they'll be wealthy individuals, regardless of running or whatever. Like they'll earn a good salary if it was just a normal job. Whereas in and around me, yeah, there'll be plenty of people that are maybe earn a little bit more than me, or some that just have kit deals. I think, yeah, I don't really foresee myself, unless I have like a really truly breakout performance and shock the world, which would be nice. I don't see a time where I have to stop, where I can stop work completely. And if I did, I'd really be taking like a big financial hit, and I'd be like, yeah.
Would you
Good
want
stuff.
to? I
Yeah,
mean,
I've thought about that as well. Would I want to? I mean, there are a lot of pros about having a job as well. Like it definitely prevents me from overtraining. If I have 2 to 3 days at work a week, it gives me some social time outside of running. Like I get on well with my colleagues with the maths department at school. It sort of breaks the mind up a bit. I'm not thinking about running 24/7. I know Tom Jolly really well. We're good mates. He had left the army just before me, but I was still in, and he was actually like a ski coach for me for a few seasons, and we became really good mates after that. If you offered me Tom's life in Spain, training full time by himself, over my current life in the UK, working 2 to 3 days a week, not being able to train as much, I would choose my life. Even though Tom's got a decent contract in the moment and he can afford to do it and stuff, I wouldn't want to be out in Spain by myself. Like, I don't think it's not for me. It might be for him. Like, perfect. I mean, I think I'd probably, if someone offered, I'd probably stay in the UK, train in the UK, but that's me, that's him. But whether I'd actually take it, I know Josh Wade's talked on podcasts before about like still doing like 1 day a week or 2 days a week, just because he enjoys it. Yeah, he still enjoys doing his landscaping and gardening stuff. Yeah, exactly. And like, you never know what's going to happen, right? Like, you go for a run and just break a leg, and then what have you got back to fall on? Yeah.
It makes you wonder where all the money actually is in these running companies, because they clearly make an absolute fortune through all the trainers and everything. And then when it comes to actually giving the deals further down the ladder to give a spotlight to the shoes and show and the kit, they're not really willing to fork it out. It must just be more dividends taken by the CEOs at the top. It's ugly.
I think what'll become hard for the likes of me as well is that you end up competing with just the influencer who has 1 million followers compared to the decent runner who has 2,000 followers. So why should shoe company X give me some shoes to come third at the Arc or third at UTS and get a few thousand views when they can pay Joe Blogs, who has 1 million followers, to story his life wearing their shoes and all that stuff. So I think different brands will do different things. Some might still invest in the actual, like, the running aspect and the competition and the results, whereas others might divide and conquer with maybe just putting all their money in a few people capable of very good results and then splash the cash on the influencers as well. Yeah, it's a tough one.
Is there pressure on you to do social media or to be good at it, or?
No, I mean, Ultra's quite like relaxed about stuff. I've helped them out with a few sort of advertisement campaigns they were the headline sponsors for 13 Valleys this year and for Kielder Marathon. So 13 Valleys was last weekend. Kielder Marathon's this weekend coming. So I did a few photo shoots and stuff with them, but I mean, that was largely like ad hoc. Keith, are you free? You're in the UK. Let's go and do this for a few days. So that was fun. No, they don't say like you need to post this many times in a month. You need to do this. It's all kind of like, can you do this? Would you be willing to do this? Like, if we're launching this shoe, can you talk about it a little bit on your stories or stuff like that? Very low key stuff. They seem to be more in the market for, they're very supportive with like results based sort of stuff. Like, which is good. I don't mind doing some of the social media stuff, but I wouldn't want it to feel like I have to do it.
No. What do you say?
Yeah, but I forget who we spoke to. Someone said that they needed to do at least like a post a week or something like that, or was it even a post a month? But there are expectations, aren't there, on some people to put something out there. But it's nice that they've not really done that. That Ultra haven't expected that of you. Is it is it more of like a kit deal, sort of, as you mentioned the other ones are?
I get started off as a kit deal, and then after the Arc, that kind of change to some sort of like bonuses for big sort of for biggish races, UTMB World Series and some other races on there and stuff. So it's good. It's the highest level of support I've had, which is nice. I think going back to the whole contract thing, the hard thing about it all is particularly what seems to be the way of the world in our sport is that, like, at the moment, all the brands hold all the cards. Like, even the high earners aren't allowed to really announce how much they earn. So that kind of negatively influences everyone, in that if you're in another sport, like, you could Google what all the top footballers' contracts are and things like that.
Yeah.
Like a level of everybody kind of knows what they're on. So when you ask for X amount of money, you know it's out there because someone else is getting paid that amount of money. Whereas in our sport, like, you've no idea who does what. It's frustrating when you can get a really good result, say UTS. I'm like 15 minutes behind Matthew Blanchard, who's come second at UTMB and is probably a very wealthy man and gets paid a fixed contract, professional contract, bonuses, whatever. And at the time, I was not on any sort of contract. It's just a lot. I mean, he does a lot of social media and stuff and things like this as well, and a big name in the sport for years. But there's a little bit of inequity at times. It's a tough one.
When they give you the like the bonuses for certain races, is it only literally like massive races in Europe? It's not like lakes in a day or anything like that.
Ultra's quite good for it in that. I forget what they have sort of A tier races, which would be like your UTMB World Finals, so in Chamonix, OCC, CCC, UTMB, and they've got some other A tier races, like Ultra Trail Cape Town, I think, is one. Some other like Western States, like big hitters. And then they have a B tier, so bigger bonuses for the A tier races. Then they have a B tier sort of system of races, which is like anything on the UTMB World Series. The good thing with Ultra as well is that you can pitch to them in advance. Look, this race is really important to me. Like, it's a Dragon's Back or it's a Lakes in a Day. Lakes in a Day might be a harder pitch, but say 14 Peaks this year was the national champs to qualify for GB. I didn't do it through this way, but you basically kind of had to go and do that race. So Hugh pitched it out and be like, can I make this a B tier race, so that you could, if you get a good result, you get some bonuses out of it. So they're quite nice and flexible about it, which is good. Also means you can kind of like, if there's a race you really want to do and it's important to you, they will factor that in. Whereas I'm guessing probably a lot of other shoe companies are only interested in the races they're interested in.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I bet not many people do that. And especially factoring in how important the 14 Peaks race was, pitching to them, look, this is going to be a strong field. The reward for doing well in this race should easily be as good as like some of the other big races in Europe. So that's great that you can take that to them.
I wish I'd done it now.
Yeah. Well, you didn't need to. What?
No,
How did you qualify?
So there's probably like 3 different pathways of qualifying for Worlds. If at this time last year, so 12 months before Worlds, you had like exhibited like really good current form, so for example, Chris Jones was pre-selected for Worlds based at this time last year based on his OCC result, which had just happened. Like, this guy's good enough, we can pre-select him now for the short course race for next year. That's like the golden ticket option. Then there is a series of, depending on what race distance you're going to do, basically every race then has a qualifying race, like 14 Peaks for the long course. which was in June this year. So the second most direct way of entry, or to guarantee entry, would be to finish first or second at 14 peaks. If you finish first or second at 14 peaks, you are near on guaranteed to be selected for Worlds. They sort of clause after clause from this to sort of give themselves, the selectors give themselves some wiggle room. But yeah, if you were first or second, you're pretty much guaranteed entry to be selected for Worlds. And then the third way of going about it, which is the way I went about it, was to kind of submit a resume and sort of back yourself based on recent results. So I had just done UTS. My intention had always been to do UTS. Well, my intention had actually been to not do UTS and just do 14 peaks, but I kind of wanted to hedge my bets and try and get a good result at UTS where I could get a good result, where I thought I could get a good result, and then do 14 peaks. Ultimately, I thought the result at UTS was good enough that I just kind of like bet on myself, submitted a resume, and thought it should be good enough that I get picked. So that's how it worked out in the end. Didn't have to do 14 peaks, just gambled a little bit that UTS was good enough.
Well, the time certainly was, wasn't it? So I imagine the time alone, irrespective of the position, I know the position was probably a nice bonus, or should have been rewarding of more, as you said. But yeah, was it like just over 12 hours?
Yeah.
It was
12 hours
very fast.
18.
Yeah.
Back
It's
again
ridiculous.
next year.
Are you going to go back next year? Yeah, you said you did until you die. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep. Yeah, I don't know. I really love the race. I think it just has everything, and I've yet to have a bad experience of it, so that probably helps. And I've always had good weather, so that also probably helps. Yeah, but I've got a big thing for sort of doing the similar, at least like, yeah, if you enjoy a race, and I get good satisfaction out of returning to the same race, because then you really get to see like self-improvement. You see, like, I know I'm getting better. Whereas if I end up doing different races, sometimes you're like lost in the void of I'm actually getting better or whatever. So UTS is good, and I've not won yet, so maybe I just keep going until I've won. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe I try the 100 one year as well, 100 miler. Even more brutal.
That
That
looks
would involve
brutal.
running through a night though.
It would. What's your mixture of sort of like power hiking and running on UTS 100K out of interest? I wonder, what's it like at the very top end in that race?
Yeah, I was. The first climb's always interesting because you tend to end up being surrounded by at least a couple of names you're not so sure of, and they're really like running and panting. You're like, what are you doing, guys? Yeah, I was hiking loads. Yeah, hike before you have to was a nice mantra. I sort of borrowed from John. I'd listened to John on a podcast, his own podcast, a couple of weeks before, and yeah, he really sort of like emphasized the point of just trying to like move efficiently over the terrain. Like, don't get into this like panic state where you're trying to like run all the time and push all the time. Like, it's a long enough race that the fatigue will come. There's no point like getting it really early. I'm hiking loads of it. It's basically a walk, just a very long walk.
Very fast walk.
Yeah.
That's super interesting. Yeah, because you always just have this sort of like narrow, like minded view that the people in the top three are capable of running all these climbs from start to finish. And the human body can only do so much, I guess.
Yeah.
You must have a good rhythm with your poles.
People also do like different tactics, I guess. There's quite a fair bit of footage from last year where like you see John like just hiking like big strides, really powerful, and then like the others come behind him looking a bit more flustered, trying to like run to keep up and things like that. So yeah, I think if you can hike quickly and efficiently, you're saving yourself loads more energy than if you're trying to run. There's lots of stuff out there which is too steep to run on or too technical to run on, so you are just better off walking. But it's not like it's not a walk. Like I'm consciously always like thinking, right, like apply power, push, use the poles. I think where a lot of sort of mid-pack people could improve on is that they just think the pure process of having the poles will signify being better. But unless you're like literally using the poles, and I was lucky that I did a lot of Nordic skiing in the army and stuff. So in that sport, you are like almost entirely like upper body pole based, and your legs are just like coming with you. So that has helped me when it's come to trail running. But loads of sort of mid pack must be, you're just carrying more material around with you and probably not getting any benefit from the poles. Like you really want to think about like engaging like your lats, like your back and your core. Don't just use like your little arm muscles. They're going to fatigue loads, but try and like, it's hard for me to describe. Watch some cross country skiing videos on YouTube, and you'll really see like the power they're generating through the poles and like actively thinking about that. You're not just walking uphill with two sticks in your hands. Like that's no help at all. Like you really want to think. So whenever I'm hiking, I'm always thinking like, and Tom Evans talked a lot about it as a huge strength at UTMB this year, and that it's just saved his legs so much. And I know he like dedicated a lot of time to it this summer about really like tire the upper body and the arms and the back and stuff out and save your legs for the more runnable bits. The more energy you can save in the legs for later in the race, the better. So yeah, if you think you're maybe not using poles adequately, get on YouTube, watch some cross country skiing.
Watch them train. Gosh, I've seen them. I've seen like the Nordic skiers training, and the way they train with their poles and they run up the hills. It's incredible. They're like
they're
like
call it like elkoofs, the big sort of bounding like tush, 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 tush,
yeah. You don't want to get hit by one of those, that's for sure.
Doesn't I think Killian does some like cross country skiing in the off season, doesn't he? Oh, he does all sorts of stuff these days. But it's quite a popular combo, isn't it, for like the French, like European runners to ski in the off season?
Yeah, definitely. I think not exclusive, not everyone's doing it, but I think a lot of the top guys do a lot of skimo and more cross country skiing in the off season for sure. Rest the legs, and also, definitely. I think probably definitely benefits them when they come to back to trail running.
So you did a Seville Road Marathon, but nearly 2 years ago, 2:26, I think it was. Have you got any ambitions to lower that time?
I found it really. I really enjoyed it actually. It was it was in like February as well, so a great place to go in sort of February time to break up the winter, and it gave me a real like training motivation over these sort of dark, rubbish months that we've now got ahead of us. And all you really want to do. I'm not really one for getting out in sort of the mountains and stuff over winter and the wet and things. So I'm quite happy to sort of get on a treadmill and do more sort of speed workouts or get on the road. So it was a decent one to train for over the winter. I've thought about like going back to it. I think I could go faster as well. I'd only just started working with Doug maybe like 8 weeks before that. So we've maybe done like 6 weeks of training. So there wasn't really any time for like any speed work. We kind of just went straight into like the really marathon specific block. So I probably didn't really get faster during that time. I just got better at sort of holding my current level of speed. And I'd signed up to it before like working with him and things like that, just because I wanted to do a fast marathon. And when I signed up to it, I think I was like kind of satisfied with probably doing like 2:40 or something like that. I'd done Edinburgh Marathon a few years before in 2:50 something. So I just wanted to have a training goal over the winter and just see if I get faster. And then I did a park run, a Christmas park run, and I just snuck under 16 minutes. And then I was like, maybe I could try and do 2:30. And I started working with Doug and realized I probably could maybe hold the pace. God, people that complain about doing road marathons though, way easier than doing ultra marathons. Yeah, breeze. All I did was just like lock into this pack for like maybe the last half hour was grim, but for 2 hours I just locked in behind guys absolutely killing themselves, and then you're just like, okay, half an hour to go, I'll just unleash what's ever left. But in your mind the whole time, it's like 2.5 hours, right? It's like nothing compared to doing 12 hours. So yeah, maybe I'll go back. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It is a good one, and I do like running fast. Not that it's like fast, but I enjoy training for it, and
That is
it's good.
fast.
But I mean, the hardest thing now is that like you've broken the 2:30 barrier. Like the next significant barrier would be like 2:20. But like in the ultra world, 6 minutes, 7 minutes is nothing, right? But on a marathon, because the distance is actually comparatively short, like the split difference from a 2:27 to a 2:20 is like ridiculous, like so much faster.
It is, yeah.
So yeah, would there be any point in me going back to break 2:25? I don't know. It's a lot of training to beat 2:20 though. That's when you're like proper serious marathon runner, I guess.
Yeah, sub 2:20 people are really focused. Like road marathon is all they do. Like it's every year in and out, it's just about getting under 2:20 and how far under 2:20. Yeah. Well,
I'll be training Kenya
maybe you could
next.
do it, but yeah.
Maybe, but it would take significant time out of training for trail running, right? And I guess that has to be my main focus.
But it does benefit it.
Yeah, I think it definitely benefits it. That's part of why I signed up to do it. Yeah. Yeah, and Jack Scott was quizzing me. He was on the GB team as well. He was quizzing me about it when we were out there, being like, "Did you think it was beneficial and stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like raises the top end, makes you like super efficient. Sort of this sort of flatter terrain stuff. Yeah, I think it's good to mix it up. You don't want to be stuck doing the same stuff the whole time."
How about a track race?
No, I mean, I've dabbled in like my running team's cross country, not for a couple of years, but I think that would probably be as short as it would go, would be, yeah, local cross countries. They're quite good fun, but I have also found as I've gone into my 30s, I seem to take an inordinate amount of time to warm up. Like my body just doesn't accept the pain of running until like a good few hours in. In fact, with the elite trail team, with the testing at Loughborough, we did some like 1.5 hour tests using packs to try and see the influence of the pack. Was it like really having a detrimental effect wearing a pack or not? But during these tests, we did one with a pack and one without. They were both about like 1.5 hours long. I was the only one in our team whose heart rate dropped over the 1.5 hour period. Like you'd expect like your heart rate to gradually increase, like this is getting more difficult. Whereas I found it more easy at the end of 1.5 hours on the treadmill than at the start. I don't know, something weird about my body where I start a run and I'm like, the body just is like in panic mode. Like, why are you doing this to me? And then after a couple of hours, it's like, oh, fine. This is fine. You can keep going now.
Welcome to my world. Yeah. Wait till you get to
Yeah.
your 50s.
Yeah.
Well, no, I did actually mean a 24-hour track race.
Oh, 24-hour track race. I know Robin's just done one, so maybe he can discourage me or encourage me.
You can
The
give you
thing that
some
I
tips.
think I would, the thing that I think I would find hardest about 24-hour track race is that I guess people often think that one of the benefits is that you're never 400 meters from your crew. But I think that's the biggest negative, in that you've got every excuse to stop every lap, haven't you? To take a break
Yeah.
or whatever. They're right there. If things get bad, you can just drop out. Whereas like in Worlds, for example, I was so far from the checkpoint that, like I said, my mind's gone back round to the other way and decided to continue. But like if you go into a dark place on the 24-hour, like so easy to stop, right? Robin, you can convince me otherwise.
I mean, it was the most rewarding thing that I've ever done in my life. So, yes, you are right next to your crew the whole time, but also that's a detriment because I told them I didn't want to walk too much or sit down. So there was no escape for me to hide. Like when you've got your crew like 10 miles away, you can sort of chill out as much as you want, like on a rock or whatever. But on the track, then they can see you the entire time.
Yeah,
You've just got to keep pushing because that's what you said you wanted to do. So you better keep going. But no,
Actually hounding
honestly,
you.
yeah, and it was amazing. When I mean, I know it goes through the night, but at least you're floodlit. Um, but yeah, you don't have to think about where you're running. You're just going round and round. You've got your nutrition strategy sort of dialed in. They can hand you stuff
yeah,
when it. Ideally, we'd have like better sort of like communication, hand signals and stuff. There's some things to iron out there, but I think for moving at like a consistent pace and really getting into a rhythm, it was really cool, and I can't wait to go back and do another one and try and go further.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
yeah,
know. I don't know if I
yeah.
could be convinced. I think one thing that I could be interested in doing is doing um, like the Angle Celtic Plate, which is like a 100K road race between like the home nations, or compete
Mm.
against one another. And that's often held at um, the North Inch, which is a park in Perth, which is like I grew up next to. So like it'd be
Right,
quite cool to go back to that. But yeah, to qualify for that now, you got to have like a blistering 100K
right.
road race time.
I'm gonna look that up. I've not heard of that Anglo-Celtic
Yeah,
plate.
it's
Yeah,
Angle Celtic Plate.
Adrian Stott has written about it
Yeah,
for
Oh,
me.
has it?
You'll find it on Run Ultra somewhere. Or it might have been actually a
Oh,
preview.
cool. Yeah, we'll do.
But yeah, no, it's quite a prestigious race,
Yeah,
definitely.
that sounds cool. I like that. I'm already googling it.
So what's your sort of your top piece of kit that you take with you when you're racing? What's your most important?
I would say a recent convert to the bucket hat. Love
Oh
Oh
a
yeah.
yeah.
bucket hat. Like absolute game changer. Yeah, I had one on for UTS this year in the heat, and
Mm,
yeah, looked like an idiot, but I think yeah, it makes the world of difference having full coverage
yeah.
around, especially my receding hairline probably helps as well. Um, but yeah, you always get that problem, don't you, with a cap where like if it's sunny, you cover the face, but then your neck starts getting burnt. Bucket cap gets rid of all that trouble. It just felt like I was under this like beautiful protective shelter for yeah, I didn't have it at the start, but for most of the race, yeah, really good bit of
Oh,
kit.
they are good. They are. I think they came out about 10 years ago, and then everyone mocked them, and they kind of went quiet, and they seem to have made a resurgence.
Yeah, and you could take off, you could put ice underneath, then put back on. Yeah, they're good.
Yeah,
I
excellent.
really don't like him, but maybe I can be persuaded just as you can for a 24-hour track race. It seems like a fair trade.
Yeah, fair trade. You wear a bucket cap, I'll do a 24-hour.
Okay,
That's
wicked.
that's funny. Okay, well, we're on to our last important questions now.
Super important.
That we've super important that we've started asking everyone. So dog or cat?
Yeah, I thought this one was coming. Um, I yeah, I grew up with dogs. And now I have both a dog and a cat. So I'm slightly torn. A few years ago, I would have said instantly dog. Um, but now the cat has slowly won me over because it requires such little, yeah, management compared to the dog. I've not had my dog. I'm actually really looking forward to get my dog back next weekend. She's been with my parents basically all summer to allow me to fly back and forth to Europe and stuff. So I have like really missed her. I think I would say dog, but that's only because the cat's not in
Yes.
the room at the moment. Um,
Yeah. Okay. Book or movies?
um, the correct answer is obviously book, right? But no,
No,
yeah, I don't
no,
know.
not
I
at
think
all.
I think the best book beats the best film every day of the week.
Mm.
But do I spend more time watching films than reading books? Absolutely.
Okay.
What else is there? Gels or solids?
Gels, absolutely. Yeah. Don't waste my time chewing.
Oh, this is what happens at the top end. Weights or
Yeah.
treadmill?
Oh, yeah, treadmill every day of the week. I love a treadmill. Don't know why people complain about it. It's best to get out of there after bucket hats.
Funny, funny. And porridge or toast?
Porridge, literally porridge every single. Actually, I have both every single morning. But if you gave me the choice, porridge.
And then lastly, bog or mud?
That's a weird one.
It is a weird one, that one.
Mud. In my mind, mud seems less atrocious than bog.
No, you see, I loathe mud with a passion. It's slippery and slidey and at least peat, good old fashioned peat bog, you can, you know, hop it. Take
True.
your
I
life
don't
into
like the
your
sinking
hands.
sensation of bog though. The sort
Well,
of
that's a challenge.
I don't know how far deep my foot's gonna go when I jump on this. And then you're waist deep.
Well, that's true. But
Mm.
that's part of the challenge is to hop around them. But no, thank you so
Good.
much, Keith. It's been really interesting. Lovely to
That's been
chat
good.
to you.
Yeah. Always
And
nice to
Yeah.
yeah,
always nice
well,
to have people that are willing to chat about running for an hour.
oh yeah.
Absolutely.
And yeah, well, good luck. I'd be really interested to know which race you know if you go for the French one, or UTS or maybe both. Who knows? Let
Just
us
do them
know.
all.
They are. Yeah.
Thank you.